It's a warm one out there today, just sitting in the shade, out of the sun. We're right down the south at the moment on one of the big lakes, and it's actually part 3 of our French tour. We started off above Paris in the north on a place called Nut de Tang. We was there for the Nash Days event, which was just due for the Saturday. It sort of rolled on into the Sunday. Showed all the Nash gear, you know. There was a shop there, all the Nash gear was on show, plus carp lounge were there, volta case, and we was able to fish, you know. During the few days we were there, I actually ended up fishing 3 different lakes. The first one and the last one actually had nothing, saw fish both times, but the middle one, we sort of had to go in this little corner. It was on the main lake where all the bivvies were being displayed, and the only swim left was this little one in the corner. But there was a lovely overhang left of me along the bank, and yeah, under there I spotted some carp. So thank heavens I had the RT4, because that was the only way I could really get a bait in there, because it was the bushes were at right angles and you couldn't get a direct line in. It was all clear under the bushes, but you had to go out a bit, and then I would go around to the bottom bank and guide the boat in, the RT4 in, and drop the bait under there, and then tighten up the line. It was all clear. It looked good for a few fish, and sure enough it was. I had 6 fish out of there in about 24 hours, and there wasn't much happening there, you know, because of all the noise and the disco and everything. There weren't many fish caught. So yeah, half a dozen fish was a right result, and a big one as well, 38.4. So yeah, really pleased with that. It turned out really good. It was a nice, pleasing bit of fishing. So after that, anyway, we packed up, and you know, all I needed was a bit of a rest after that, really. Didn't get much sleep with the music and everything else. So we headed on our way south. We were due to meet up with Jim and Sharon Lightfoot here, but that was still about 4 days away. So what we did was stop a public lake, I suppose not far from Limoges, but I don't know, 200 acres maybe, 150, 200 acres. Lovely public water, no carp anglers on there, but night fishing was allowed, so we plotted up there, and it was absolutely lovely. It really was. I did see fish there, and we had action, but only from bream. I caught bream every day, you know. I was hoping to get a carp, but it just didn't happen. But you know, that's one on the list to go back another time, because it was really nice there. And yeah, I think it's somewhere I'd like to spend a little bit more time and put the record straight, catch one from there. So there we go. You know, we had a few days on there, and then it was a drive down to the south to meet up with Jim and Sharon and come here, which is proper hardcore big lake fishing. I mean, this one is getting on for 9,000 acres. It's a real big one, and it's not heavily stocked, you know. There's not a load of fish in here. It's one I could easily blank, don't get me wrong, I could easily blank on here. The hope is just to get 1, maybe 2, and any more than that, you know, blimey, well, I'm just not expecting to get any more than that. Let's put it like that. But yes, it's pretty tough fishing. You have to fish fairly long range, you know, 250, 300 metres to get any sort of depth out there. And then you start to hit the weed beds. And that's sort of where the fish want to be, obviously. But it's conditions, you know. It's nice today. A bit of a storm due tomorrow, and as soon as you get a breeze, well, it'll be a normal breeze on another lake, you start getting the big waves on here, because it's so vast. So it's tricky, hard fishing, and there's not many fish out there. So yeah, there we go. That tells its own story, doesn't it? We found a nice swim, and that's all we're going to do, plot up and hope the fish come across us during our stay, because you know, everyone's like a bar of gold in there. It's worth its weight in gold. So I'm just hoping to see a bar of gold or two during our stay at this lovely big French reservoir. Well, that is home for the next 10 days or so, something like that. I'll tell you what seems a bit funny, going out in the boat and I'm not even out to my rods yet. There's me rods. Yeah, it's a big bit of water and there's not much choice other than to stick the rods out here, because you know, once you get to this reed bed, the edge of this reed bed, the lake opens up. So I've got one rod out there. It's very shallow, but I found a nice spot in about 7.5 foot for that one. So it's a bit of a run or swim from the bivvy when I get a run, but there we go. So I'm not really sure, it's the first time I've fished this one, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. Apparently fish have come from around these reeds, but it's very shallow there, about 3 foot. And yeah, I'm sure they get in there sometimes, but I fancy something a little bit deeper, so I've been going out a bit further anyway. But then a little bit further on this lake is like 250, 300 yards. So yeah, I'm not going to go silly distances. I'm just going to see what I can find at 200, sort of 250 yards range. Yeah, see coming out here, I mean at the moment it's only 2 foot deep. I'm sure they will get in those sort of depths, but it's not really where I want to fish, I don't think. Apparently there's crayfish in here. Well, there's bream, there's catfish, there's crayfish. So I'm using hard hook baits, the hard-ons, and yeah, a bit of maize, bit of pellet, scopex squids. Yeah, a bit of a mixture really, just in an area, not too much, just putting a bit out for now, just until I can sort of gauge what's happening really. But yeah, just enough to get me a bite and take it from there. See, I mean, I'm about 100 yards from the bivvy and I'm only in 2.5 foot of water. So, you know, you need to get out at least a bit into some sort of reasonable depth. See, if I was coming out from that corner there, it wouldn't be far at all, but because I'm coming out from further down the bank, it's yeah, I'm having to come out further just before I even start to get to the drop-offs. But there we go, it's dropping off quicker now. 4, 5, 5.5 now. What I've noticed, it's more or less clear all the way out here, and then you get to about 7 foot, and that's where the weed starts. So obviously that's where the food is, that's where the fish want to be, where the carp want to be. There we go, 7 foot. It's nice and clear there, so I'm going to do no more than drop it right there. Big heavy lead, 8 ounce lead on there to hold it. I mean, it's rock hard, the bottom there. That's what we want. I mean, there's weed around. I know if I go another 20 yards I'll start hitting the weed, so that's perfect, just before the weed line, in about 7 foot. That's what I'm looking for. A few scoops of maize. I'm not spreading it about too much, just usual bite at a time tactics. Boilie and pellet, bit of frolic dog food just to bulk it out a bit. But yeah, I've got scopex squids, monster shrimps, and some pellet in there. Here we go. Right, back to base. Perfect, just before dark. Everyone's gone home. Now it's our time. Excellent. Right. There we go. Ready hopefully for a carp tonight. Well, the plan was hopefully just to get one fish during our stay, because never easy, these great big lakes, and you know they're not heavily stocked. But I had 3 bites last night. The first one was lost. I got it all the way in, tried to play it from the bank, got it all the way in, and ended up losing it round a fence post about 30-40 yards out. And so yeah, I was gutted about that. But next time I went out in a boat, and this was the result. I mean, it was a result to get another run, but a lovely long lean common, just over 40 pound, and proper wild fish in it. I mean, the size of the mouth, don't know if you see it, is absolutely huge. Proper crayfish muncher, isn't it? But yeah, oh, I'm so happy with that, I really am. You know, just hoping to get one, and yeah, to get this one literally on the first morning is yeah, beyond my wildest dreams, really. Very, very happy with that. So there we go, we've made a start. First fish from the lake, and well, as Jim said, if you can get one, you get more, as there's probably more out there. So well, we'll see. There we go, we made a good start anyway. Excellent. There we go, another big lake carp. I'm very pleased to see it. And yeah, this one, it was about 6.5, 7 foot deep. Didn't put loads of boilies around it, just enough to get a bite really, which is what it did. But yeah, this is almost certainly one of the stockies. It looks like a new fish, but yeah, very young, very healthy, very fit and lively. But yeah, also very, very colourful. Lovely colours on it. And a few nice scales. What a lovely fish. Yeah, from several thousand acres of water. Yeah, that's what we like, isn't it? That's what you call a proper public lake carp. Happy days. There we go. Right, let's get him back. Have a nice cup of tea. the boat obviously plays a big part in this fishing, and for this trip I've got the 2.8 rib, or the Nash 2.8, which is bigger. It's got the inflatable floor. It's very stable, very buoyant, but it's got that extra little bit of size from the 2.4. So I mean, it's nice and calm in here, but when you get out there, there's white caps out in the middle, so it can be rough, and it can get rough very quickly. So you do need to be pretty safe and pretty stable, which this provides all that. I've got plenty of power. I've got the 65 pound thrust engine, which again, you know, these sort of waters, that's where it comes into its own, and that power is very useful. Yeah, and I've got the Volta case lithium battery, so there's loads of power should I need it. That's charging at the moment on the solar panel, so which is one of the big plus points of using that battery, because I only need the one battery. I remember years ago one of my mates doing a session on Shantycock, and he took 10 batteries with him. He needed another boat to put all the batteries in, so you know, that's a bit of a not a nightmare, but you know, it's more work than what you need. Whereas one battery that you can charge every day on the solar panel will last the duration of, well, however long the trip is. So you know, fine. That's landing net, yeah, short-handled landing net. It's just easier to use in the boat. We've got my life jacket in there. Maize is always good on these big waters. You know, the wild carp love a bit of maize, and I've got me monster shrimp and scopelet squid mixed together with some pellet in another bucket. And yeah, so I'm just putting a few scoops around each, not loads. You know, I'm not. It's one of those waters where you could go out and put a great big bed of bait out there and sit on it, but I'm not fishing like that at the moment. I'm just doing it one bite at a time and see what happens from there. You know, it's a fair old bit of boat work, but you know, that's par for the course on these sort of waters. It's not easy fishing. There's nothing easy about it, but you know, it's so exciting, so rewarding. It really is. Yeah, and that's what the big lakes are all about. You know, hard work, exciting fishing, but you know, out there, the rewards are out there. So, you know, that's why we do it. Well, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We've just had a mass panic out of the blue. One's just gone absolutely screaming off, and thought it might be a cat first of all, and then thought it might be a carp, but my first guess was right. Yeah, it was an epic battle. I don't know what he is, 30-40 pound, but God, I mean, it's calm in here, but out there, forgot my GoPro, just didn't have time. Grabbed a rod on the way out, and yeah, had one hell of a battle out there. Hopefully the next one will be a carp. Well, it's an old saying, never neglect the margins, and I sort of have been really, up till now. On these big lakes, it's always very tempting to go further and further. But I do know, especially when the water's high, you know, they do come in looking for food around reed beds, and they have done on this lake. So I've got the waders on, and there's a spot along the front of these reeds where it sort of dips in, and yeah, I can just about get there with the waders. It deepens off just a little touch. But I thought, I've only been using 3 rods so far, so I can use 4, so I might as well get a 4th one out along these reeds, just with tiger nuts. I've got 2 tiger nuts and a Brazil stuck in the middle. And yeah, the plan is just to put this one out with a few tigers around it, and I can just leave it there. You know, tigers, unless they get eaten by something. There's not much that eats tigers other than carp, so they should stay there, you know, for however long I want to leave it there, really. It's a good option to have, one for when the weather gets rough, that I can always fish this spot, and two, it's just nice to have one that's not miles out there. You know, I can just drop this one by hand, you know, and even if it does get horrible and blowy out there, I've always got a spot to fish. A few of the old sweet tigers over the top. You know, it might produce nothing, this rod, but I haven't really wasted anything because I wasn't fishing this rod before, so. But if it produces a couple of fish, then happy days. You know, this is where there's going to be a lot of shellfish, crayfish, you know, all that sort of stuff, all the sort of food that they look for naturally. So maybe they'll come along and find a few tiger nuts there. Well, it's been quiet for a few days, but we had a big storm roll in last night. Thunder was right above the bivvy, frightened the life out of us. But yeah, a bit of heavy rain, and as usual, yeah, they love a storm, don't they? And not a big one, mid-20, but nice to get one again. A big wild lake, this one, 9,000 acres, so you know, everyone is hard earned. And this one certainly was. Still had a catfish occurrence because I got a bream on one of the tiger nut rods. It was bleeping for a little while, and I knew there was a bream on there, but it was getting a bit rough. And then all of a sudden it just screamed off. Yeah, and there was a big cat on the end, but he let go of the bream. And yeah, thankfully, the only other occurrence was from this one. So. Yeah, you never know, might be the start of a little spell of action. We can only hope. Anyway, looks good out there, so right, let's get him back anyway. Yeah, I've been having a play about with rigs the last couple of days. The problem I've had basically is there's a lot of hungry mouths out there trying to eat the baits that I'm putting out before the carp can get to them. I was sticking with boilies for the first part of the trip, but the trouble is I was hooking rudd, bream, and certainly catfish. I had quite a number of catfish on them, so I changed over to tiger nuts, and my normal rig would be like 3 in a row, 2 and a bit of cork, or just 3 in a row, and that certainly helped, but I did notice that the bream was still able to get that in their mouths, and once one of them was hooked and I was getting a few bleeps, I've actually had 2 catfish takes where I know I've had a bream and a rudd actually hooked on the rig, and the catfish has come in and grabbed them. So you know, that's not ideal. It seems like the carp are actually the last ones to get in on the bait, so I'm trying to keep bait out there long enough so that the carp actually come in and get a chance. So yeah, so basically what I've come up with, it's not something I've used before, but it's the same rig, same multi-rig, with a bit of floss going through the eye of the rig ring swivel, but instead I put 2 tiger nuts on each tag end of the floss and then just tied them in a knot, so it ends up with like a little cluster, a little ball of tiger nuts. And it seems like the smaller fish are unable to get that in their mouth. Don't get me wrong, it's not foolproof, they're still having a go at it, but they're not able to get that in their mouth. The catfish don't seem to be too interested in it, and so it's staying out there. And the thing is that the carp bites are coming sort of 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, whereas in the evening I can put some bait out and the little fish are on it straight away. So it's keeping it out there long enough for the carp to come in and actually get a chance at it. And yeah, at the moment this seems to be doing the trick. So, you know, that's now on all rods. Little cluster of tiger nuts on all rods, and it's working. But yeah, one of the most difficult things when you're out on the lake, especially when it's dark, is actually seeing where you are. You know, all of the bank looking back looks very much the same. So what I've done, I've tied one of the boat life markers to this pole. This is the last pole on a line of fence posts, and well, you can see for yourself looking back, you can hardly see the bivvy from here. And yeah, when it's dark, looking back, especially when you're a bit disorientated after playing a fish or whatever, spinning round and round, it's hard to know where you're coming back to. And not only that, even if you've got a rough idea, there's other lines out there, so the last thing you want to do is wipe all your other lines out. But when that light's up at night, I know that if I come in next to that little red light on the marker pole, I'm not only coming in me swim, but I'm coming in away from the other lines. So it's a handy little thing to have out there, you know, a marker. It's not just for marking the spots you're fishing, you know, it's got other uses as well. And this time, you know, it's serving its purpose to actually help me get back into the swim without any dramas. Well, the weather's been a bit strange. I mean, it was actually a clear, cold night last night, and after a stormy, warm night the night before, it's all a bit weird. But in the early hours when it was all misty and cold, one did rattle off, and yeah, another one of these nice sort of plump roundy mirrors. I mean, there's a distinct difference between the mirrors and commons. The commons all seem, you know, fairly long and slim, and yeah, the mirror's all short and fat. But yeah, well pleased to see him. And the difference with the tiger nuts on there, there was a couple of bleeps here and there, but nothing really until, well, the early hours when this one picked it up, and then screaming run, and yeah, nice little boat battle, and this one was on the end. So yeah, happy days. Yeah, still a few days left, and hopefully the action will keep coming consistently. The weather's all over the place. The wind's changed round completely today. Nice bit of sunshine, but as long as they keep feeding, it's happy days, isn't it? There we go. Right, let's get him back. Well, it was all a bit chaotic, nothing all night, and then at 4 o'clock a double take, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I just had to leave one going and deal with the other one, but ended up getting them both. So let's have a look at them now. Two nice ones. Well, after a quiet night, it actually ended up being quite chaotic. Ended up with a double take, and one was sort of stop starting and sort of getting stuck in the weed, the other one was screaming, so I went for the screamer and just hoped the other one would hang about, and which it did. But yeah, this was the first one, and it's a lovely long common, just over 41. Absolutely cracking fish, dinner off scrap as well. It looks like it's built for it, doesn't it? And all the time I was playing this one, I could hear the other reel ticking away here and there, and I was just pleased to get this one in the net, get back, and yeah, I had to get him in the sling and everything before I could deal with the other rod. But yeah, what a fish, eh? Lovely. Typical sort of really wild common. Absolutely lovely. That's brilliant. And this one was the one that I had to just leave to its own devices while I was playing the 41, and just well, I hope it settled down and stayed on, which it did. And yeah, thinking it might be a smaller one, but it turned out to be a bigger one. Well, just over 47 and a quarter. And yeah, it looks like he's been through a few battles, this one, but still fit and healthy and fighting fit. Oh, even though the take was quite slow, it gave me a hell of a fight out there. What a beauty. Oh, he's all tense. I can feel him tensing up. But yeah, what a lovely fish. What a lovely brace of fish. You know, after going a week without a bite, all of a sudden, you know, got things together and things are happening. It's not playing the game, but it doesn't matter. You've seen him, haven't you? So there we go. Let's put him back. Mwah, lovely old warrior. Well, it's last day today, and well, we leave tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, but we're getting everything tidied up today, and we're gonna just sleep by the van tonight and set off early in the morning, because it'll be an early start, and yeah, there's lots to tidy up. The boat was absolutely filthy. Can't believe how much muck and bait and whatever was in the bottom of that, but nice and clean now. Yeah, I had a lot of rain in the night actually. That's July in the south of France, I suppose, but yeah, solar panel was soaking wet. Still got the battery charged up yesterday though. It's been absolutely brilliant, that has. Full power every day. Yeah, it's been brilliant because had plenty of action, not loads of carp, but it's been good on the carp front. Still got 3 rods out. One went off in the night with a catfish on the end, as per normal. 2 catfish the night before, so yeah, they've been about, but in between all that we've had a few nice carp, up to that lovely 47 pounder, so absolutely pleased with that. It's been brilliant fishing with Jim and Shaz. They've been absolute stars. They have lovely people and nice to spend a bit of time with them. they're off tomorrow as well. And Darren is taking over our swim tonight. So all that's left now is us to pack up, you know, all this stuff slowly. We've got a nice full day to do it, which is good. Bit of sunshine to dry everything out, and yeah, that'll be us. It's been a long trip, this one. 3 weeks in total, all sorts of different venues, ending up on this fantastic big one, and it's been marvellous. But there we go, get all this away now, and yeah, think about a nice dinner tonight before Betty buys. Okay, see you next time.